Hello and welcome to another episode of MacStories Unwind. I'm John Voorhees, and I've got Federico Fetici with me. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Hey, Fable 5, huh?
Oh, happy Fable 5 comeback day.
Fable 5 week.
Fable 5 week. Oh.
Yes, it's going to be. We're of course talking about Anthropic's.
Yeah, let's talk about this. So, Fable 5 is Anthropic's latest model.
Yes, which was around for a couple of days, then disappeared.
Right. So, Fable 5 is based on Mythos 5.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mythos 5 is the big model based on a new pre-train by Anthropic. That was announced a few months ago and released in secret to a bunch of organizations as part of Project Glasswing, a model that was advertised as being so powerful and so dangerous that Anthropic could not release it publicly. Fable 5 is the consumer version of Mythos 5. It's a version of Mythos with more safeguards in place that was released to the general public on June 9th, I believe, the day of... During the second day of WWDC.
Yeah.
And it was soon after pulled at the request of the United States government,
Yes.
following a report, it seems, from Amazon about potential jailbreak-related issues in Fable 5. Anthropic was ordered to pull access to both Mythos 5, which is still available to organizations and enterprises, and Fable 5, which is the consumer model.
Technically they were told not to allow any non-U.S. citizens to use it, which effectively meant pulling it because even
without
Anthropic,
a verification system.
Yeah, because they employ people who are not U.S. citizens, so there's that. I mean, if nothing else, right?
Yeah. So Anthropic decided to simply pull access to Mythos 5, and ever since they've been working with the United States government to implement more safeguards, a new classifier, which we're going to talk about shortly, to restore access to Mythos 5 and Fable 5. Fable 5 came back yesterday on July 1st, and we're recording this on July 2nd. I've been testing Fable 5 since I got access to it again last night. John has as well.
Yep.
And we are burning through our tokens because the story behind Fable 5 is also a story, not just of performance, which we can talk about shortly, but a story of money and cost.
Yes.
Anthropic has decided that you will get access to Fable 5 usage as part of your Claude subscription, Pro and Max and Team plans, until July 7th. After July 7th, you will be able to use Fable 5 in Claude or Claude Code or the API with usage credits. So you will have to purchase additional usage credits, which are kind of sold at API cost. There are some discounts every once in a while. They run promotions and so forth.
Yeah, they have an up to 30% thing off right now, but to get 30% off, you have to buy $1,000 of credits, just to kind of give you an idea.
And you still have to buy these usage credits. Now, until July 7th, you may think, oh, great, I'm just going to burn through all my tokens until July 7th. Not so fast. Because Anthropic also said, until July 7th, yes, but only you can allocate to Fable 5 usage only 50% of your weekly usage limits.
Yes.
So you have a week, now it's July 2nd, so 6 days left, to use 50% of your Claude plan weekly usage for Fable 5. Yes. After that, you're going to switch back to Opus 4.8, or you will have to purchase additional credits just for Fable 5.
It gets a little complicated because your weekly limits might roll over in the middle of that period, which mine do.
And Anthropic also did a usage reset last night. So,
which is why I'm burning them as fast as I can, because I want to get to 50% before 7 p.m. on Friday night, which is when mine rolls over.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I've been using it all day for a specific project, which is what I showed on Mastodon, this product that I'm working on called Mac Remote, it's an MCP product. It lets you turn any feature of your Mac whether it's a terminal command or a CLI, anything, or a local MCP server, it lets you turn that into a remote MCP, which means you can use the Claude website to get access to tools running on your Mac. And it creates a secure tunnel. Everything is based on permissions. I've been working on this for the past couple of weeks. The UI was terrible. And I've been saving sort of any UI and design work for this moment because I knew that as soon as Fable 5 was going to come back, I would give Fable 5 the task of redesigning Mac Remote and give it a much better onboarding flow, a more coherent design, using liquid glass, using native sidebars, using SF symbols, all of that. Mm-hmm. I put Fable 5 on the task last night. I went ultra code all the way. I told in my prompt to use workflows, to use sub-agents, and I just said, screw it. Just go all the way, burn as many tokens as you can, but just fully redesign this thing without losing any of the functionality. Just change the design and wire the new design accordingly so that you can keep all the pre-existing features. And it worked overnight. At some point, it spawned 52 sub-agents, a panel of judges to judge between 5 different designs. These are like the crazy things that Claude does when you use ultra code and workflows based on Fable 5. And it did it. It did an amazing job redesigning this really ugly and verbose UI that Codex made into something that actually resembles a modern Mac product. It gave it a settings panel, a native liquid glass sidebar, liquid glass effects throughout, even gave it a menu bar icon and drop down from the menu bar to check on the status of your server, keyboard shortcuts, context menus, like all the modern Mac things. And this morning, I continued working on it, and I said, you know what, now I actually want to make the connection UI a little bit sexier, a little bit nicer. Why don't you design a 3D animated shader powered by metal so that when the user is actually opening a tunnel to their Mac, you can see this fancy, I described it as like a fancy, glassy, nebulous animation.
Right.
And
well, that's what you got.
that's what I got. It designed
exactly.
a metal-based shader that has this glass effect, this nebula effect with this glass material that just sort of like flies around like a liquid, and it shows you when the tunnel is opened. And so all of this has been great. The one issue I will mention, burning through my tokens real fast. Obviously, I've already approached my 50%, so I'm running on usage credits at the moment. And beyond the design work, the moment I started working on authentication-related bugs for MCP, I got flagged for by the safeguards that rerouted me to Opus 4.8 because Fable 5 thought, this is scary authentication stuff. And it triggered the new classifier that Anthropic had to put in place at the request of the US government, even though I'm not doing any cybersecurity or nasty things. I'm just trying to fix bugs in my own product. Yeah. But I'm getting flagged all the time.
The difficulty is it's two sides of the same coin. Looking for bugs can be used to fix bugs, but it can also be used to exploit bugs. And that's kind of the tension that's going on with these guardrails. I've been using it a lot over the last not even 24 hours at this point, too. And just to give people an idea, I mean, a 5-hour limit of tokens I burned through in about 40 minutes maybe last night at one point, because I was doing a deep dive code review and design review of an app that I'm using, that I'm working on, that's podcast related. It's really just like a workflow optimization thing that will make it a lot easier to kind of coordinate between Logic and Final Cut Pro. And there's a lot involved in the file formats with both of those programs. They're both basically packages of XML and media files all bundled together, and there's a lot of timing and other metadata associated with those files that you have to get really precisely correct in order for everything to line up. And I'm trying to it's a complex app that's designed to make the actual workflow a lot simpler once it's actually working and I can use it. And I had been having some troubles with that when I was using Claude Opus. It was struggling with some bugs that I had, and Fable just plowed right through it immediately almost. I mean, it took a while. It took its time going through all those things that it had to do, but it came up with a list of here's all the things that are broken. Here's how you have to fix them. Here are some design tweaks. The design's pretty good. You just need to do a few things here and there. And since then, I've been having it go through little by little. I started like Federico with the Ultra code, which is what's going to burn the tokens the fastest. And that's when I went through like my 5-hour limit in about 40 minutes. But then after that, one thing that's nice is you can actually ask Claude for advice about what parts of this should be handled by Ultra code and which parts should be handled by some other effort level. And it's pretty good about identifying that from what I can tell. And so once it got down to a plan of, oh, here's like a dozen things that it needs to work on, it said, well, these two, you should use Ultra code because they're critical to the operation of the app, and they're pretty risky edits to the code. So use it there, and on the other parts, just use high. And that's what I've been doing, and that's made it a little easier to get through what is a pretty long list of things that have to be tuned up before this thing's ready to go. And I don't expect to be using Fable beyond this window of the subscription availability, just because the API is going to be so darn expensive. But it is a pretty nice opportunity to take a couple of projects that I have that have been causing me trouble and actually tune them up and get them to the point where I can then just go from there with Opus or something else to polish them up, because I'll have gotten over these big humps.
Yeah. It's also kind of a strange model to use as a chatbot.
It is.
It has a style, but it can be really strange sometimes. It's like if I were to pick the way that Claude speaks, for lack of a better word, I think I actually prefer the style of Opus. Fable can be weirdly technical at times. It has its own style. It's based on a new pre-train by Anthropic, and you can tell that it's a giant model just by asking different really specific questions. You can tell when the model does not need to search the web or check any other sources because the knowledge is built into the model. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I'm just gonna, like you, I think I'm just gonna enjoy this until July 7th, do all the design and real complicated work that I need to do, and probably just move back to Codex, because the other thing that I remembered in the past 24 hours is just how bad the Claude app for Mac is compared to Codex on the Mac. Sometimes I open I screen shared into my MacStudio this morning, and the session that I did last night, for whatever reason, was archived. I didn't tell it to archive it. It just showed up as archived. And sometimes there are so many weird issues with like attachments or just the resizing the window even.
It's kind of why I really just use the terminal with Claude Code. I don't use
it's probably better with that.
It really is. And it's the opposite way on Codex, because I like the Codex app on the Mac so much that I don't really use Codex from the terminal instead. But with Claude, I've always pretty much used the terminal because it's a better UI.
And also, there's a GPT 5.6 Sol. By the way, we haven't mentioned this. Do you like the names Sol, Terra, and Luna?
I do, actually.
Yeah,
I like them personally.
I mean, Terra and Luna are basically they are the Italian words for Earth and Moon. Sol, I mean, it means sun. It's sole,
Spanish,
Italian.
But isn't it
Spanish.
Spanish? Yeah,
I think it's Spanish. Yes. GPT 5.6 Sol is coming soon, and I am really keen to try Sol Ultra in Codex and see what it's like.
Yeah, I really hope that we don't end up in a situation where, I mean, I think we're starting to head into that world where some of this stuff is just going to be priced out of the budgets of pretty much
and also safeguarded.
And safeguarded beyond where one, either you can afford it or it's been crippled. It's been hamstrung in some way by a government somewhere to the point where, yes, a Fortune 100 company gets to use the unfettered access to the model, but you as just individuals sitting at home can't. There's a lot of things going on around in the policy and politics of LLMs right now that I think is raises a lot of difficult questions about access and how technology is treated.
And the other thing that I noticed is that after working with codecs so much, I've gotten so used to the way that GPT 5.5 reasons through issues and responds that it's really different to switch back to a Claude model now. They are similar tools, obviously. They're both agents, coding agents, but you can absolutely tell that they're made by two completely different companies with two completely different attitudes. Sometimes I poke around and I take a look at the reasoning traces of Claude, and you can tell that Claude is so anxious as a model and overthinks everything. And the whole thing that, that Anthropic is very paranoid and anxious about Claude having some kind of conscience. They created the Claude Constitution. Like that whole thing transpires in the way that Claude thinks and reasons through issues and overthinks problems. Whereas you just ask GPT 5.5 something, it's like, yeah, sure, I'll get to work. Like GPT is so much colder and in a way less weird than Claude.
But there's something to be said for the weird too. I mean, I still think that if you're doing things like researching something and want to have some kind of summary written up for you that you can read or listen to as like an MP3 or something, Claude does a much nicer job.
Yes,
it's just,
because the upside of the weird is that it does have a more pleasant style, both in text and in summaries and in design, right?
Where Codex reads more like software documentation in a way. You know what I mean? It's a little cold and
it's a little cold, gets the job done. I don't know. They're similar, but you start using them for any prolonged period of time, you realize just how different they are.
Yeah.
And so enjoy Fable 5 if you want to use it until July 7th. Please don't go broke with all the usage credits.
Don't waste your entire 4th of July weekend coding.
Don't do it. Just one pick from me this week, John. Came out today, Rhythm Heaven Groove on the Nintendo Switch. This is a weird and funny music-based game that is actually
I love the Rhythm Heaven on 3DS.
The last time I played the Rhythm Heaven game was many, many years ago. Imagine this is a game that is actually like a collection of mini games. So imagine like WarioWare style game, but based on rhythm, based on music. And it's delightful, incredibly weird on purpose. Like it's got that sort of like Tomodachi / WarioWare energy.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Sounds great, looks great. It's funny. I recommend it.
Awesome. Hey, look who we have
with us. Look at that. Once again, Brendan Bigley.
We have Brendan Bigley, special guest appearance.
At the very end of MacStories Unwind.
You didn't message me this time.
We were just wrapping up. And imagine what, Brendan? I was wrapping up by covering a pick for the weekend. And my pick was Rhythm Heaven Groove on the Nintendo Switch.
Did you play the demo?
Yes. No, I actually started playing the game today.
Oh, yeah, it's out today.
It's out today.
You're enjoying it?
I am. It's so weird and fun, and it sounds great. And
are you musically inclined? Are you a person who...
I am. Very much so, yes.
That's weird, because I am too, and I'm horrible at Rhythm Heaven. I don't know what it is about that game in particular. I have such a hard time locking into.
I think... this is something that I... by the way, thank you, Brendan, for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
Impromptu conclusion to Unwind. I think that I was thinking about this morning as I was playing the game. I am a musically inclined person, but I think my struggle, because I immediately struggled with the first games.
Yes.
Right. And I thought about it. I was like, why is this happening to me? I think it's my brain gets tripped up by the visuals. So even though I'm a musically inclined person,
The combination of the two.
The combination and what they do is very clever because, for example, in the first mini game, you're supposed to jump through these hoops, right? But they don't show you like a top-down perspective or a plain like side view. They
Right.
show you this like 3/4 view. And it's like, what is happening here? Because I can hear the music, but the perspective is all weird and strange. And so I think that's what it is. I think and it's really clever. Combining strange visuals with the music, even if you are a musically inclined person, it can be challenging, but also very enjoyable. And it's so strange.
Yeah, they're hard games historically, I think. I always thought the 3DS game was pretty tough, but it's a fun game.
Yeah. I will definitely get the full game, and I will report back in some way, shape, or form.
Very
Probably
good.
not on this podcast.
Probably not here because Brandon is here because we are about to record our other podcast that we do together, the three of us. It's MPC Next Portable Console,
Yes.
also on
Yeah,
MacStories, and on Patreon because we also do MPC XL, which is an extra additional episode of the show every week for just $5 a month on Patreon. So if you are an Unwind listener and you like when John and I pick video games for the weekend, well, there's a whole show about that we do with Brandon. So
Yes. Federico, you've become such a good pitch man. I really think you've really got your groove going there.
yeah, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. I really it's a skill that I'm trying to hone over time.
You're the next Don Draper is what you are right there.
Oh wow, okay.
All right.
Hope so.
All right,
Minus
well-
the cigarettes. I
Yeah,
hope.
there are pluses and minuses to that.
There definitely
comparison.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think we better wrap it up there, Federico, and start NPC. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Rev your
All
engines,
right.
folks.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for joining us. I will have a MacStories Unwind pick, a deal in the show notes too, so check that out. And until next week, we will be back. You can read about everything we're doing over at MacStories.net. You can find us on social media. Federico is at Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees, JOHNVOORHWES. And, of course, Brendan Bigley. Go over to wavelengths.online and check out what Brendan's doing, okay?
And overworld.vg.
VG. Yes.
That stands for video games.
It's or it could be, I don't know, virtually good.
Viticci good.
See, I think very, very good would be better than virtually
Very
good.
good.
Federico.
Overworld, very good.
It's a very good website. Go for
Yes.
it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
Ciao, John.